Donald Trump consolidating everything. And when the day comes, if the day comes, that Trump can dictate terms, not just to the Article 1 branch, Congress, which he's already doing, but also to the Article 3 branch, the courts, which he's trying to do, threatening judges and all this sort of thing. And the ultimate goal there would be to threaten the Supreme Court itself and the press. Then we will have achieved something, very simple, very straightforward, a dictatorship. No warrant, no constitution. Trump's shock troops seize our judiciary. And, it's pretty straightforward stuff. This is not happening in some kind of back alley. It's not happening under the cover of night. It happened right in broad daylight. Federal agents, without even having the decency of a signed warrant, stormed into Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom on Friday morning and dragged her away like a common criminal. No warning, no legal process, no respect for the law that she had spent a lifetime upholding. But they sure made sure the cameras were there. This performance, and then Pam Bondi going on TV going, I was horrified when I discovered, and we're not going to stand for this, and you might be next. Yeah. They didn't even have a legal arrest warrant. And, this ICE is doing these, or FBI now, I guess, these administrative warrants. I mean, this is incredible. The thing that we all need to wrap our heads around here is that this arrest of a county judge was not done in furtherance of a particular policy. I mean, obviously it was, but it wasn't just about that judge. The reason that they did it the way they did it, the reason that they made sure that the cameras were there, the reason that they made sure that everybody in America knows about this, pretty much unlike another judge that was arrested earlier last week, along with his wife, for harboring, quote, illegal aliens. They had a couple of people living at their home who were doing handiwork and fixing up their house in exchange for a place to stay. And so now they've arrested this judge, too. The audience for these arrests was not you and me. It was not even the news media, although that's what they're using to get the message to their audience. The audience for these arrests was other judges. Trump there are three branches to our government, right? This was, and arguably the fourth branch, the so-called fourth estate, is the press, which, is protected in the First Amendment, but it is not a government agency. But basically, there are three branches of government, and then there's the press, and those four things are what are necessary for a functioning democracy, and they must have a certain dynamic tension between them, or you don't have democracy. You end up with dictatorship. Dictatorship is where one branch, in this case, the Article 2 branch, the executive branch, the presidency, basically takes over the Article 1 branch, the first among equals, which is Congress, and the Article 3 branch, which is the third among equals, that's the judiciary. And if they can so Trump has already taken over Congress. I mean, last week you had Don Bacon, a conservative Republican, stand up and say, these tariffs don't seem to be working well. Within 24 hours, he was talking about resigning. I'm sure he got the memo. Elon Musk or Donald Trump, they both are controlling multi-$100 million slush funds that they can use to just take out any Republican who defies them. So Trump has got the Article 1 branch of government under his control, Congress. They are not defying him. They are not investigating him. They are not trying to block any of his behaviors, even the genuinely outrageous ones. They're just going along. And I would argue that the majority of Republicans realize how wrong it is that they're going along, but they're all just living in terror. So he has successfully terrorized the Article 1 branch, that's Congress. He controls the Article 2 branch, which is the executive. And in fact, he's asserting powers in the Article 2 branch that no president before him has asserted. The power, for example, to fire the heads of independent agencies that theoretically operate under the Article 2 branch, but had been given independence by Congress. And now he wants to go after the Fed. And in fact, this is going before the Supreme Court. So anyhow, he's got Article 1 under control. He owns Article 2, the executive branch. Article 3 is the courts. And Article 4 is, or not Article 4, but Amendment 1 is the press. So Trump is simultaneously going after the courts and going after the press. He has now said, or ICE has now said, that they did this arrest last week that was filmed, and the film went viral, where these 3 ICE agents showed up, and one of them had a baklava or whatever it's called, a mask over his face. None of them, they all refused to show identification. They refused to show a warrant, and they arrested this undocumented immigrant in a courtroom. And, which is really a bad thing, because what that means is that, undocumented people will start refusing to come into court, whether it's to testify about crimes that were committed against them, or whether it's to, face the music for crimes that they committed. So anyhow, they snatched this guy, and there were two people from one of these groups that it helps defend immigrants when ICE comes after them, who showed up and were saying, show us the warrant, and they were videotaping it. Show us the warrant. What's your name? Show us some identification. Show us a badge. And the ICE people just refused. Well, now they're saying that they're going to track those 2 women down and prosecute them. You get this? So they are going after the press. 60 Minutes now has shut up, right? The guy who's been running 60 Minutes for 40 years just resigned from CBS. And last night Scott Pelley went on a rant about how, the C-suite, the senior executives are all flipped out because they want to merge with Paramount or whatever it is. CBS is involved in this big merger talk, and Trump is threatening them, and they're frightened. So Trump he's going after NPR, he's going after the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, he's got lawsuits against all 3 of the networks. So basically, he's got much of the press, certainly the mainstream press, buttoned down, and friends of his own much of the rest of it. You got Jeff Bezos with the Washington Post, and this doctor in Los Angeles, and Zuckerberg running Facebook, which is the Canadian election, for example, which is happening today. One of the big problems they have is that Facebook is no longer carrying real news, and so across Canada, these lies, these phony messages about Mark Carney, the guy who's probably going to win the election, are just really taking hold on Facebook. And then, of course, you got Elon Musk with X. So here's Donald Trump consolidating everything. And when the day comes, if the day comes, that Trump can dictate terms, not just to the Article 1 branch, Congress, which he's already doing, but also to the Article 3 branch, the courts, which he's trying to do, threatening judges and all this sort of thing. And ultimately, the ultimate goal there would be to threaten the Supreme Court itself and the press. Then we will have achieved something, very simple, very straightforward, a dictatorship. You will have one guy in charge of America, in charge of the congressional branch, in charge of the legislative branch, in charge of the judicial branch, and controlling the press. That's what dictators do.